Is Battlegrounds going to be pay to win? Is Hearthstone getting a mobile premium currency? I think so. Both of those seem to be true and rather concerning details baked into this blog post announcement you'll see behind me. This is a beautiful graphic announcing Battlegrounds Season 2, and there's a lot of cool new content coming to Battlegrounds, it sounds like. And we're going to go through all this in greater detail, but there's a new rewards track for Battlegrounds. There's new cosmetics. There's a new quest system in Battlegrounds that looks pretty cool. New cards, of course, in Battlegrounds that are Castle Nathria themed. But there are two other announcements here that I think take priority that I wanted to talk about first. And number one is Runestones. What the heck is a Runestone? Well, here is the first introduction of Runestones we've ever heard of. The season pass can be purchased in-game with Runestones. Hearthstone's new virtual currency, Runestones, can be purchased through both the in-game shop and Battle.net web shop once patch 24.2 goes live. So it seems to me that Runestones are a new premium currency, a sort of money equivalent for Hearthstone. Pretty much every mobile game does this, where you buy some other currency. It's like gold or whatever it is that's thematically connected to the game, in this case Runestone. So you'll buy like $20 and you'll get like 500 Runestones, whatever the amount is. We don't know the details there just yet. And you use those as a proxy for cash. And typically that's done in a really scammy sort of way in mobile games, where you will buy $10 worth of Runestones, and that will give you 900 Runestones. But the thing that you want to buy costs 1,000 Runestones. Or sometimes it's the other way around, where you'll have to pay for 1,200 Runestones, and the thing you want to buy is 1,000 Runestones. So you either have to buy these incremental amounts of Runestones that are not appropriate for the costs of goods in the game. So you end up spending too much, or you have these awkward leftover amounts of Runestones left behind. Now, we don't know what the prices are going to be. We don't know what the Runestone breakdown is going to be. Hearthstone hopefully will not do the sort of mismatched, imbalanced amounts of Runestones that we see other games do, or that's going to be very frustrating. So if you want to buy 10 packs and you're left with enough Runestones for one pack but no way to spend it, and all these awkward sort of breakpoints, that would be really unfortunate. I would feel so sad if Blizzard goes down that route, but that is typically the reason this happens. There's also another reason, is that it kind of obfuscates how much money you're spending. There's a bit of a disconnect in your brain. It's like, oh, what is really 1,000 Runestones? I don't remember. This costs 1,280 Runestones. I don't know what that is. And people can often more readily kind of pull the trigger on purchases because they're not doing the math quite as effectively in their head. So there's almost never been an instance where this has been a player-friendly change in other games, or a player-friendly system implemented in other games from the beginning. It's not unheard of. Literally every mobile game does this, so it's a pretty standard system, but still one that I can't really see the net benefit for the player very often. I think there's maybe one potential upside here that I don't know. Again, we'll have to see all the details and how all this shakes out. I don't want to condemn this too much before we see the actual reality, but there is a possibility where sometimes small purchases through things like the App Store can be really hard for a company to sell because there's so many fees associated with them. So if they sell something for like $1, for instance, they might have to pay like 75 cents in fees to Apple or Google or whoever for an App Store purchase. So there might be a way where they can get you to purchase big amounts of Runestones and then have smaller chunks of those spendable in game. So maybe you can buy an individual hero portrait instead of a bundle of 4 hero portraits. If that's the reason for the Runestones, that could be a player-friendly change. It's just that typically that's not what we see for these sorts of things. Typically, they're not done to help the player. They're done to help the company, and they're often done in some pretty sleazy ways as well. So definitely one to keep a very close eye on for Runestones. How are these going to be priced? How is that going to line up with in-game prices? Is this going to be done just to eke out a few extra dollars here and there, or are there going to be actual benefits to the system? Oh, in fact, here is a little Q&A about Runestones too that might help this conversation a little bit. Runestones will be replacing real money purchases for nearly every product in the Hearthstone shop. Some products like pre-purchase bundles, the Hearthstone Tavern Pass, and packs, purchasing more than one at a time, will be able to be purchased with money or Runestones. So there will still be some real money purchases. That's interesting. A few other select products like individual packs and cosmetics crafted in the collection will remain purchasable with only gold. Okay. So no concerns that you know, changing the gold system here, it sounds like too much. With Runestones, we'll be able to offer additional smaller scale items such as individual Battlegrounds hero skins offered in the shop with this patch. So that is actually exactly what I teased. Runestones will be available in bundles of various sizes, including quantities that correspond to our major products like the Battleground Season Pass. Okay, so again, this is a promise, or not really a promise, but a suggestion that they will not be doing these sleazy pricing tactics. So you can buy exactly the quantity needed for that product, or you can stock up on more for later. No product costs are changing with this conversion. All prices are staying the same, just converted to Runestones. So this is actually a pretty nice little paragraph, right? This is addressing some of the concerns you might have for Runestones. Again, we'll see how this is delivered on. Maybe in the short term, you know, things are all good, but definitely something to keep an eye on over time as well. And this does say kind of major products will be, you know, corresponding quantities, but what does that mean for not major products? Will there still be some weird gaps and weirdly shaped bundles? I don't know. Just, you know, one of these things like this, you know, you want to be hopeful, you want to trust the dev team, but at the same time, we've been burned so many times in the past by both modern Blizzard and many other mobile games that I think you really have to proceed with caution here in this one. You have to keep a close eye and definitely call out any shenanigans you see. So are Runestones going to be good or bad? Time will tell, but I'm very, very nervous despite some of these, you know, assurances here. Oh, and one final confirmation, there are no plans to earn Runestones in-game, so only purchasable. That is unusual. Most mobile games do allow you to earn a trickle of their premium currency in one way or another. All right, so the next big topic here is whether or not Battlegrounds is going to be pay to win. And the way I'm reading this, I don't see any answer other than yes, it's going to be at least a little bit pay to win here. And the reason for that is this: purchasing the new season pass, which we'll again get back to the details on all these, but wanted to cover the most important stuff first. Purchasing the season pass will immediately unlock the option to choose from 2 additional heroes at the start of each game. So if you have the season pass, which used to be Battlegrounds perks, I mean, they're different things, but Battlegrounds perks used to award this, you'd choose from 4 heroes instead of 2. And obviously having 2 extra heroes to choose from is going to greatly improve your win rate, or notably, let's say, improve your win rate, because some heroes are better, and the odds of finding the best heroes, or even the heroes that just fit your playstyle the best or your comfort picks the best, is doubled when you have more additional picks. And if you're limited to only 2, you might get stuck with awkward heroes, ones you don't work with as well, ones that have a just objectively lower win rate overall. So obviously having more picks makes you more likely to win a given Battlegrounds match. Now, in the past, you could buy perks with gold, so there was a route for totally free-to-play players to still access a 4-hero selection, and therefore it might have taken some time, a little work, but Battlegrounds had an equal footing between people who spent money and people who didn't. But now with this change, the only way it sounds like you're going to be able to get the additional heroes at the start of the game is via the Battlegrounds Season Pass. And the Battlegrounds Season Pass is not going to be purchasable with gold, only via premium currency. In fact, this question confirms there are no plans for any gold use in Battlegrounds at all. If you want to spend real money, you can buy the Runestones we've talked about, but you are not going to be able to buy the Tavern Pass or the Season Pass for Battlegrounds with gold. And in fact, here we go. This is going to answer it as well. I used to be able to get perks with gold. Why do I need to pay now? We want Battlegrounds to be played and loved for years to come. This change will allow us to continue to support and make content for the growing Battlegrounds community, though the ability to choose from among 4 heroes at the beginning of a match is changing to a paid-only feature. Straight up confirmation there. All players can still play Battlegrounds for free. We're committed to maintaining hero and gameplay balance so that the choice from 4 heroes is more about optionality than power. Additionally, as part of these changes, we're giving away more free Battlegrounds content than ever before. Advanced stats, I believe that's supposed to say, and base emotes are now available to all players. We've dissolved hero early access to allow all players to play with new heroes on patch day, and there are several free rewards on the Battlegrounds track. So listen, there is obviously an economic conversation here that is, you know, completely sensible to make for Blizzard and for you as well. If you have a counterpoint here, the game has to make money. Battlegrounds is, I think, functioned as a bit of a lost leader for Hearthstone for a while now. A ton of people play it as their free-to-play mode. I don't think Blizzard monetized it very well. There are not card packs to buy. the cosmetic system came in. I don't think people have cared enough about cosmetics to really support the amount of features and dev time that goes into Battlegrounds. Of course, the game needed better monetization to support itself, but I don't know that this is the answer when we make sure that people who aren't paying are at a notable power level difference. I mean, I think this is about as pay to win as you can get in a game mode like Battlegrounds. So, well, I mean, that's not true. You could just pay money to buy a tier 6 unit, but it is certainly realistically very much a pay to win difference for people who are willing to spend real cash. So I'm worried this is going to drive away a lot of free to play players from Battlegrounds who feel like they just don't want to spend money on the mode for whatever reason, and they don't want to compete against people who have a greater pool of hero choices, particularly because this system has allowed them to do that for so long already. So this is going to feel like ripping off a giant band-aid and a really, really big negative change for those sorts of players. Now, that said, maybe that's a risk Blizzard is willing to take. Maybe they just say, okay, sorry, we got to make money on the mode. I get it from a business, from a logical standpoint. Yes, it's just unfortunate for the player base, and it's unfortunate that Blizzard couldn't find or think of a better way perhaps to monetize this free-to-play player base in some way other than this, because this one just feels pretty rough to me. Although this is a noble goal, that balance would be so good that 2 versus 4 heroes is not a relevant concern. I think that's just so hard to achieve in Battlegrounds, even with things like armor systems being in there to kind of tweak out heroes so they feel to balance out heroes a little bit, giving weak heroes armor to kind of compensate for their natural gameplay differences. It's just impossible to perfectly balance this. There are still going to be advantages netted for people who are playing 4 heroes especially. So I mean, they're saying the right things here. It's just the reality, I think, is not going to represent this. It's just impossible to balance that well. So some players are naturally going to have that real advantage. So what does this mean for Battlegrounds? Well, I think it'll lose some players. I think some people will dip out based on this. I think it'll be too frustrating. I think there'll be a bit of an uproar. I think there'll be videos like this one showcasing some of the problems here with this new system. But that might be a necessary evil for Blizzard. They probably just need people to pay for the game, and it sucks. It's not good. Nobody's going to really be happy about it. But if that's what it takes for Battlegrounds to keep running and make sense at a business level, it may just be what's necessary. I sure wish they could have found a better route, though, or a better angle for this one, or that cosmetics could have supported the mode. I think if we look at some of the competitors, that's definitely the case for things like TFT, for instance. So it might just be a real loss for the Battlegrounds community, and perhaps a bit of a loss for Blizzard too in the long run. I don't know how well Battlegrounds will do if people sort of get outraged about this new system. That said, you know, in fairness, I think $20 a season is a fair price for the amount of stuff you get in Battlegrounds and for the amount of time. So people who pay the $20, I think they're going to be happy still. I think the game is going to offer a lot, and probably more than ever before. So I do like that they're adding additional value propositions to support this increased cost. Just that I know it's still going to be some fallout, because it definitely reads pay to win pretty hard. So that said, let's talk about some of the actual content here. We've talked about the bad news. There is some new content, of course, coming. Battlegrounds is getting the new Battlegrounds Season Pass track, rewards track, as you heard. So this is very much a corollary to the standard format version. And I'm not going to read all of these lines in detail. I may ramble enough that you can read them in the background. But there's, of course, a link down in the description below if you want to get the full blog post here on all of this. But essentially, new emotes, new skins, new boards, new strikes, all of this stuff going to be in this pass. Some of it will be free, as you can see here with this emote, and some of it will be locked behind the paid version of the pass as well. As a part of this, there are new legendary strikes, the sort of finishers in Battlegrounds. This actually looks pretty sick. Some crazy big animations. There will be legendary ones that you get that have additional stages and rewards, like finishing heroes and so on. So new extra ways to show off your commitment to Battlegrounds. And here is all the different rewards if you want to break through this or freeze the video and check these out. There you go. The Crystal Justice Legendary Strike there at the end. And some additional details here. There's a new theme, the Magic of Azeroth, an anime-inspired theme. Not super into this one, honestly, but I'm sure there will be some people out there who love the anime stylings. Now this is interesting. There's a new Battlegrounds XP system that will be fueling the rewards track. It's going to come with its own quest system called missions. This XP will be distinct from the traditional Hearthstone XP. That said, you will still be able, I'm told, to complete normal quests in Battlegrounds, and you will still earn XP on the normal track for playing in Battlegrounds as well. So there might be some advantage to double dipping a little bit if you play Battlegrounds to complete quests and earn your normal XP trickle, because you can complete both Battlegrounds XP and regular XP at the same time. That may make some of you feel pressure to play Battlegrounds if you're interested in the mode at all to maximize your return on quests. But again, read through this and double check all that. That's just my first interpretation based on the initial read through here. So this is pretty cool. Battlegrounds getting a new feature called quests, a new mechanic here, and there's actually a lot of new card designs and artwork in this one, so it looks like a pretty big change as far as I can tell. So at the start of turn 4, your 6 gold turn, you'll be offered 3 random quest reward pairs, and I'm told that the rewards and pairs are not always going to be the same. They are randomly shuffled together, so you won't always get the same payoff for the same quest. And you'll have stuff to do. You can see here, start a combat, summon a copy of your highest health minions, your reward. But to get that, you have to summon 20 minions via your quest. So these are essentially passive effects. Your minions have +5 attack. You got to play 4 Naga or demons in order to complete that quest. So things that kind of help drive your gameplay experience. And you might pick a harder quest to potentially get a harder payoff, depending on like how high tempo the lobby is or how high your health total is. A lot of extra decision points here, which I think will add some really cool strategic depth for sure. On top of that, there are some new minions and heroes, and I'm actually planning to do, you know, typical more deep dive videos on the new minions, so stay tuned for those. Real quick, we'll just check these out. This one's Rindle the Mistermind. At the end of your turn, steal the highest tier minion from Bob's Tavern. I don't know if that means steal it from the tavern into your hand. I guess that's the way that works. That actually sounds pretty insane, just getting a bunch of free value here off Rindle the Mistermind. Particularly the golden version for a tier 4 seems like a powerful payoff. Also, this golden card looks weird. I don't know if that's a new design or just some editing mishap there. There's also the T-Master Theatar at tier 6. After you play a minion with no minion type, to give 3 friendly minions of different types, +2/+2. So this may be supporting a little bit of a kind of neutral minion package here. Maybe a neutral minion build, although this also still encourages you to have types. So maybe more of an amalgam light fang sort of build. He does have the teacup menagerie stylings here, so that's pretty cool, but that looks like a big pile of stat stacking there for sure. So encouraged to cycle through neutral minions, but have at least a few minion types on board there to realize the upside. There are going to be a bunch more reveals as well throughout the day, it sounds like, and maybe beyond, to showcase these minions. So there are some additional Q&A questions here. I think we covered most of this, but again, please feel free to check that blog post for more details. So I just wanted to point you to this. There's also a blog post detailing the quests in a little more depth here if you're looking for it. I'll also drop this link in the description, basically breaking down the exact mechanics of how all this works, along with some additional teasers for additional reveals of quest things. And it's a pretty complex system, it sounds like. It's like live updating based on armor tiers, and you know, some quests are going to be harder or easier to complete based on the reward pairing. So it looks like a lot of kind of tweaking and systems went into this, which is nice. It seems like it's gonna be a really cool feature. I haven't been playing Battlegrounds much ever since Marvel Snap came out. That has been my off-stream game that used to be Battlegrounds. So I am a little out of the loop on Battlegrounds, but we may still hop in to check out some of these cool quest cards. They look like they'd be really fun to help guide the experience for someone who's not plugged into Battlegrounds. I went from being a typical, like 9K MMR player to I bet I'm like a 5K equivalent right now. I just have not played much at all. So all that said, this is a shockingly big announcement that's relevant far beyond Battlegrounds. Some concerning stuff. I want to hear your takes on this. Is Battlegrounds totally play to win? Are you abandoning the mode? Or you think it's okay? Is it reasonable for Blizzard to charge a pretty fair price for Battlegrounds? I think there's some nuanced answers in the middle there, but I still think ultimately big negative change for a lot of Battlegrounds players. That's going to be a tough pill to swallow. Are Runestones going to be a welcome change as advertised, or will they be problematic in the near term or the future? I'm curious what you think. Typically, big corporations don't make decisions for the sake of the player, but to be fair, Hearthstone has, I think, gotten more affordable over time. I hope this is not a bucking of that trend. I hope this doesn't revert us into a world where the game gets less and less player-friendly over time. Certainly not what we need. We've had some pretty good momentum in that regard over the last couple of years. So, curious to hear all those thoughts and more in the comments below. Thanks much, as always, for watching. Stay tuned for any additional details that pop up regarding all this stuff. And until next time, game on.